Hi, I'm Daniel Andrews, owner and creator of Andrewsfootball.com, and welcome to my Week 15 review. If you're new to my channel and you haven't done it already, there's a button right down here. See it, see it, see it? Bam! Hit that button. Become one of the greatest people on planet Earth. My channel, scientifically proven to make all your wildest dreams come true. Now, due to games being played Saturday, there is going to be no live stream. I'm not going to live stream on Saturday while NFL action is going on. 2 weeks from now, when it's just going to be Sunday games, I'll come back on. You can always email me at askandrewsfootball@yahoo.com if you need some advice. If you're going to put some action down, you want the expert's advice, you can always email me. Give me 24 hours and I will try to get back to you. I may be able to get back to you sooner than 24 hours, but please 24 hours in advance. Don't email me Sunday. Don't email me Saturday morning for advice on Saturday games. Come on now. But let's start off with Drew Brees setting the all-time touchdown passing mark. On Monday Night Football, he went, 29 out of 30. Threw for 4 touchdowns, has 540 in his career. It's an NFL record. Tom Brady, I think, is, if I remember right, it's 2 behind him, so that's going to be kind of a back and forth. With going 29 out of 30, he set the single game completion percentage mark. And I've often said, why don't more people consider Drew Brees the greatest quarterback of all time? You know, there's only one quarterback who's thrown for over 5,000 yards in multiple seasons. That's Drew Brees. He's done it 5 times. Every other quarterback who's thrown for 5,000 yards has only done it once. Brees done it 5 times. I'm always amazed how you don't even consider Drew Brees as being one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Why don't you even consider it? He might be the greatest quarterback who ever lived. He's the most accurate. He throws for tons of yards. And for the most part, now Michael Thomas is an exception, but for the most part throughout his career, he hasn't played with as much talent as Tom Brady or Peyton Manning has. So that's kind of my rant there. Now, I will say this. Well, let me go on here. On the opposite side, Josh Gordan failed another drug test. I think this is a very sad story. Here's the thing with Josh Gordan. It hasn't been released what he failed on yet. I want to know, was he taking something to recover faster from an injury, or was it a cocaine marijuana type thing? But he is suspended indefinitely. Unlike most people, I do think he's going to play again, just not in 2020. I think in 2021, if he stays clean. And another thing to think about, was he trying, remember, he was on IR with the Patriots. He was hurt. They were going to put him on IR. He said, just release me. I can still play. He wasn't 100% with Seattle from what I gathered. So was he trying to take some sort of a steroid to recover faster so he could get into the playoffs healthy? Or was this a situation that he was still addicted to marijuana or maybe it was something like cocaine? If that's the case, I think they're 2 different things. But if it's a substance to recover from an injury, I think the NFL will be a little more lenient on that. Again, I think in 2021, Josh Gordan will play in the NFL again. Chiefs fans will be interested. Now, Okafor injury, he's out for the year. He had 5 sacks. Emmanuel Ogbah had 5.5 sacks. He's already been out for the year, so the Chiefs do need a defensive end. Terrell Suggs has been signed by the Kansas City Chiefs. He was picked up off of waivers. Originally, he said he was only going to play for Baltimore, but he has agreed that he will come into Kansas City. I think that's a huge signing for Kansas City. I think it's a big deal. Of course, I'm being a Chiefs fan. I'm very excited. Will Grier, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced his name. If you go back to my preseason breakdown of the Carolina Panthers, a lot of Panthers fans are mad because I said he would start sometime this year. I'm right about this. It'll be really interesting to see how he does. The Panthers have a very, very interesting 2020 offseason, but I want to see how this kid does. I think this kid could be a good fit for the Panthers and maybe the guy going forward, or if in a bad performance, maybe not, but it doesn't surprise me that he's getting his chance. This week, what we've learned in the playoff hunt is that in the NFC, Green Bay, Seattle, and even San Francisco in a loss have all clinched playoff spots. In the AFC, Buffalo and New England with victories clinched playoff spots. And then in the NFC, next Monday night, Green Bay at Minnesota. Green Bay has a chance to clinch the North, and Minnesota, of course, can keep it interesting. They're one game behind. In the AFC, New England can clinch with a win at home against Buffalo. Buffalo, if they win, can keep things interesting. But one thing is that if Minnesota and Buffalo, both of those teams win, and the records end up being tied at the end of the year, Green Bay and New England both hold the tiebreakers. So even with them winning and tying everything up, more than likely you're going to see Green Bay win the North and New England win the East. The one thing I will say about Buffalo is that with winning and getting into the playoffs, they avoided getting that 6th seed, because right now the Kansas City Chiefs look like they're going to get the 3 seed, and they're the second hottest team in the AFC, and they're peaking at the right time. All right, Monday Night Football, already talked about it. Saints won 34-7. Brees set multiple records. What a great performance. To me, I've been saying this for a while. I think the Saints are the best team in the NFC. I think they've been the best team in the NFC. Are they finally going to get to a Super Bowl? Are they going to get the 1 seed? Are they going to get the 3 seed? Very interesting couple of weeks for the Saints. The Colts, believe it or not, I think are in great position in 2020. Brissett's going to be the starting quarterback. Knock on wood, he's not going to get injured. And they have a lot of talent there in Indianapolis. It was an injury-riddled, crazy year for the Indianapolis Colts. So give credit to the Colts organization. In 2020, they're a team to be reckoned with. Sunday Night Football, Buffalo over Pittsburgh. Buffalo, of course, got the playoff berth. Very exciting time for the Buffalo Bills. Plus, they avoid getting that 6th seed, so they don't have to play Kansas City in the first round. That's a big thing because Kansas City beat Denver 23-3. I was in attendance. The last 4 games, 4 straight wins. The Chiefs defense have given up only 45 points. That's pretty good because they got this guy, Mahomes. Maybe you've heard of him. Atlanta at San Francisco. Atlanta won on some freaky shit at the end of the game. Huge win for them. They've gone 4-2 since the bye. I've been saying Dan Quinn's going to get fired. Now I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure he's going to get fired now because you got a guy who's doing some really good coaching. I mean, beating San Francisco in San Francisco, that's a huge win. They have a home game against Jacksonville, a road game against Tampa Bay. I think there's a chance that I may be wrong and Dan Quinn could be coming back for 2020. And San Francisco at 11-3, they still play Seattle to end the season. They can still get the 1 seed despite this loss. So they have a chance. I've been saying this for months. I think Seattle's going to win that division, but it's going to be played on the field. The other team in the NFC West who's out of playoff contention is the Rams. They went to Dallas, lost big. I think Dallas's best game of the year overall. Cowboys play in Philly next week for an opportunity to win the East. Philly went to Washington. Really great game. And I think the Redskins, Callahan deserves a lot of credit. And I've been saying for a couple of weeks now, he at least deserves an interview. It'll be very interesting to see what happens. What made national news is that Urban Meyer sat in Dan Snyder's press box or his suite, whatever you want to call it, and that brought a lot of attention because Urban Meyer's been making public that he wants to come back or he wants to play coach in the NFL. Redskins do need a coach, but it would be very interesting. I thought it was a smart move by Dan Snyder. Bring in a guy with his coaching knowledge and expertise. At least bring him in to, pick his brain. I thought that was a smart move. I would highly recommend you talk to Bill Callahan. I think he deserves an interview at least. Minnesota at Los Angeles here. Minnesota wins big. They play Green Bay next Monday night for the opportunity to win the North. They're one game back behind Green Bay. A win guarantees them a playoff spot, and they'll be tied with Green Bay. Green Bay does hold tiebreaker if they both win out. Green Bay with a win, of course, locks up the North, and then Minnesota still needs a win, or they need the Rams to lose to ensure that sixth seed in the playoffs. Unfortunately for the Chargers, I've been saying this. I think this is Rivers' last year in Los Angeles, or last year being a Charger, Hall of Fame quarterback. There's very few people I feared more at Arrowhead than Phillip Rivers. I think a lot of people don't really appreciate what a great quarterback he is. Cleveland at Arizona. Arizona won by a couple touchdowns here. Cleveland just looks unorganized, very poorly coached. I said that, and you watch my preseason video, I thought they should have hired Greg Williams instead of Freddie Kitchens. Freddie Kitchens completely on the hot seat. Another thing is that it seems like a yearly deal. Is Larry Fitzgerald coming back? Is he retiring? Stay! I love Larry Fitzgerald, one of my favorite non-Chiefs players. I hope he stays till he's 50 or whenever he wants to retire. And he said publicly that he doesn't care about records. I don't know if I really believe that, but I want to see Larry Fitzgerald play, one of my favorite all-time players, and he's still playing at a very, very high level. So I'd like to see him stay in Arizona. I'd like to see him stay playing in the NFL, my opinion. We'll see what happens. Raiders last. Oh, man, boy, those Raiders. They finished their stay in Oakland in traditional Raider style. The fans trash the stadium. They lose on a unusual play calling, a mistake by the refs. They booed Derek Carr. It's not a part of the story, but Minshew magic came into effect. He led them down the field late. Doug Marrone's completely on the hot seat there in Jacksonville. So a lot of questions from both teams going forward. Of course, the Raiders are going to move to Vegas. Jacksonville, who knows what who's going to happen, who's going to be the quarterback, who's going to be the head coach. That's something that we're going to address in a couple weeks. Seattle at Carolina. Like I said before, Will Grier is going to start next week. Seattle, of course, made the playoffs, and they're tied with San Francisco for the West. And like I said, I'm going to keep repeating this. I've been saying this. Seattle's going to win that division, and San Francisco looks like they'll have a 12-4 record. Chargers had a 12-4 record, and it was a wild card team. It seems to be a yearly thing now. Two teams that aren't going to finish 12-4. Miami at New York, probably Eli Manning's last game in New York. I thought it was kind of fitting. I'm not going to say too much. I mean, both these teams are kind of rebuilding for a 2020. Houston at Tennessee. I predicted a Houston win. They're a very dangerous team. Even though they're going to be a 4 seed, they're going to be a team you really got to fear in the playoffs. Tennessee, there are a lot of good things to build on. They got a game against the Saints, and then they got a game against the Texans. I don't think that they're going to win. They need to win too, and to get lucky in order to get into the playoffs. I don't think they're going to, but there's a lot to build on for the Tennessee Titans going on in 2020. Is Ryan Tannehill your quarterback? That's the big question for the Tennessee Titans. It'll be very interesting to see what they do in 2020. Chicago at Green Bay. Green Bay clinched a playoff spot. Chicago eliminated itself from the playoffs at 7-7. There's not even a mathematical chance that they can get in. I personally think that Bears have a bright future. I think Trubisky, who has played a lot better going forward, is your franchise quarterback. Green Bay, they can still play for a 1 seed, so that's an interesting story. Tampa Bay at Detroit. Tampa Bay won. Jameis Winston, the first ever NFL quarterback to throw for 450 yards in consecutive games at 4,573 yards in 14 games. He's going to hit that 5,000 mark. For Detroit Lions, Matt Patricia is completely on the hot seat. I think the Lions could just have a fire sale this offseason, blow this whole team up. Team that's going to be very interesting to follow in the offseason. New England at Cincinnati. Everybody talks about the footage. I think by now everybody's seen it. I think New England's going to lose that first round pick. I don't think Belichick is going to be. They're talking about doing the same thing that the NFL did to Sean Payton and kick him out of the league for a year. Bountygate and watching some film as two completely different and separate things. So it's two separate and different punishments. I think you're punished the franchise, not the coach. Bottom line, I think they lose their first round pick. But when the season ends, I'm going to let you know right now, when the season ends, I'm going to go into tons of draft stuff. I'll go through every NFL team and I'll break down the draft and how they look after the season. A lot of great stuff to do after the season. No mock drafts, at least I'm not going to release any until after the combine. So listen, I got the Friday preview show, no live stream Saturday. So listen, if you haven't already, I blew it up for you. See it. Bam! Hit that button. Become one of the greatest people on planet Earth. Preview video Friday. I'll see you Friday.